Tonight is the May 24th special meeting of the board, the entire board, the school board. We have topics to cover this evening. And in this point, I guess number one on that is the bid for the central office roof. Superintendent, Mr. Cashman. Mr. Cashman, you do not have a microphone. You do have a microphone. Excellent. Oh, wait a second. Gina's going to interrupt me and just say that we need to do the roll first. So, thank you, Gina. So, before I rush into the agenda, Ms. Cannon, could you call the roll for the members present, please?
West. Ms. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Richards.
Here.
Mr. Parker.
Here.
Ms. Higgins.
Here.
Mr. Weinberg.
Here.
And I am here. We are all present.
Okay, the full board is present. Superintendent, do you want to do a quick summary of our administration that are present, please?
We have with us tonight President Matt Cashman, our Facilities Director, Business Administrator Jack Dunn, and I'm looking, and I believe that is it for us this evening.
Very good. Thank you. And as always, we thank Concord TV for covering us, and thank you, Josh, for your efforts. So at this point, checking over with Gina, we are good. So at this point, Mr. Cashman, can you kick off our meeting for us? Thank you.
I sure can. Thanks, Mr. Richards. We have a 120-year-old roof at Central Office. Over the years, it's increasingly, I should say, been leaking. So this year we put out a RFP on April 12th to get a synthetic slate product. This is a slate roof, but it's at the point where it's degraded in any windstorms, rain, snow, lots of those tiles come off. So on May 18th, Tuesday, May 18th, we received the bids back. We received two, and tonight I'd like to bring forward both of these bids and make a recommendation. The first bid that we received was from Academy Roofing, and that was for $437,000. In your board packet, I think we gave you a copy of this. The cost per board foot for wood blocking, which that's underneath that slate roof is wood, is $6.25, and the cost per square foot for a wood deck repair, because we don't know until we tear off that roof what type of decay and rot is in there, that was at $7. So $437,000 was Academy Roofing. For the exact same spec, Crawford Roofing, they came in at $183,003. $183,350. So it was considerably less. Their cost for board foot wood blocking was $11. Their cost per square foot for wood deck repair is $4. We have experience with both of these roofing companies. Feel very comfortable with both, but Crawford Roofing surely has a much better price. Does anyone have any questions?
So, Mr. Cashman, what is the lifetime of this roof, and is there any guarantees associated with these companies?
Yes, the roof is guaranteed, and it's a 40+ year roof. That's
Both
extremely
companies?
good. I'm sorry?
Both bids have the same?
Everything is bid to the exact same spec that we wrote back on April 12th and sent out.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Mr. Parker, Ms. Walsh, Mr. Weinberg.
Matt, what do you figure is this large discrepancy a result of?
You know,
It's
each
the same
company,
product and the
same product.
job.
Each company carries overhead, and I don't know the internal workings of that. Our experience with Crawford is they have a very large crew, so they can get a lot more work done in a quick period of time.
Okay. Good answer. I know that slate roofs are particularly unique, and I know that Kimball Jeggers, for example, replace theirs. The product isn't slate, I assume.
It's a synthetic slate. So I researched this, and it's a lot of municipalities on older buildings utilize this product. It has the look of slate. It's got a very long warranty, a lot longer than the typical asphalt shingle architectural style. It is warranted, and I think it's a very good product. I think it's going to look nice on the roof.
Is this a historic building? Is it on the register?
It's not on the historic registry of deeds.
It is.
It's not.
It's not.
It is not. Not yet.
Does it go through, there's a heritage part of, I forget what it's called.
The Heritage Committee?
Yeah.
There's a process to it,
Right.
so a lot of that takes time. We
Oh, no,
haven't
I'm
been
not
approached.
suggesting, there's a subcommittee of the city council that looks at properties, not necessarily just, things on the register, like old buildings, and sometimes
Correct.
sets restrictions on what you can do to them, that's all. But that's not the case here.
No,
Okay,
No.
thank you. Those are good answers. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Ms. Walsh?
Is there a time sensitivity to this?
There is actually, because it's probably 4 to 8 weeks upon notification, so I'd really like to get the product here. And the only way we can get the product is to award the bid.
I appreciate that this got put in our folder late in the day, but also it wasn't put on the website, this information, and I think that's important. So I'm going to vote no, not because I just think we need to be making this information public.
Okay. We do, we did post this on in the newspaper. We did all the right procedures for the RFP.
But not for
We
this.
just,
We didn't share the bids and the agenda item details with the public for this item or for anything on our agenda today. It's not just you.
okay.
Have we considered moving the central office at all? Has that ever been a part of the conversation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Like moving from Dewey School, has that ever been?
So back in 2010, when we were building the 3 elementaries, we were in a building on Rumford Street called the Mora Building. And so we went through a lot of looking at different buildings, but because this was vacant, we walked through it. It fit the bill, and so we elected to, I think we made a board vote on it, and we decided to go here to Dewey.
And for the business in Ringe, New Hampshire, I guess some of the positive of that would be supporting a local business, if one could say it that way. Do we see any wiggle room in the pricing of either of these bids?
When you do a bid like this and you get back for a public bid and you get back the results, you can't really negotiate
Bargain,
after.
okay.
That would be unfair,
Okay.
for both sides. So, I wrote a very specific specification of what we were looking at, what we wanted to do. We're also looking to add a gutter to this as well, because we've had some icy situations out in the front. And I think if we can get a lot of that water off the roof and into the side yard there where you see the grassy area, I think that would make it a lot safer.
Other questions?
Just one quick one. Is it protocol for the public to be involved in this bidding process in response to what Pam suggested?
I understand what Pam said, but no, because now you have bidding with multiple people who bid with different price indexes, and now you get into, the arguments. It's not been your practice, and I apologize, but if that's something that you want to start to do, we do have to bring it forward to you, because there's a certain criteria for the amount of money, any bid over a certain amount of money, but it's not ever been my experience that you do that we bring the bids to you publicly, but not all the detail that's in there, because they are sealed bids. These come into us sealed, and Matt opens them, and, you know, it's all a very strong, but I mean, if that's something that you want to change, I would like to confer with the attorney for the district before I do that.
Ms. Walsh?
And just to clarify, I'm not asking for the full sealed bid. I'm just saying if we're going to vote on something, if someone in the public knows something about one of these companies, if we're being asked to vote on it, I would like them to have the opportunity to contact me and tell me about that. And that's what my concern is. I'm glad we have experience. I was concerned about a company from Oklahoma, so I'm glad we have some experience with them, but
But that's exactly why Matthew is the job that he has, because that's his responsibility as a facilities director to ensure that he reaches out to people who have used the companies and gets the recommendations relative to the quality of the work. So I expect that when he came to me to go over the bids with me, that he had done that. In these cases, it was a little bit easier because both of them have worked for us, but I would be very reticent at you know, getting feedback on these kinds of bids from people who may have other reasons for giving you that feedback.
even feedback on, should we be spending this money? I mean,
Well,
there was no way for the public to know what we were voting on tonight. And I don't want to get into a debate, but I've dealt with contracts for a long time, and the state certainly makes public who's bidding, who the winning bidder is, what the amount is, and what the details are.
Okay.
I could just tell you, though, to Kathleen's point, I've worked with both companies. Both companies are great companies. But this roof is, I can't keep putting it off. And, you know, I figured by doing this now, doing this complete roof replacement and adding gutters to this system, which does not have it at the time, I'm trying to also make the site safe, you know, so.
So, Mr. Cashman, I don't believe that Ms. Walsh is in any way questioning that we, you know, that this is a need that we have. I believe her point is that she just would like it to be public so that the public, before it has an opportunity to see it and call us for whatever reason before we vote. Now, you had talked a little bit about timing. So let's look at timing, because we have another board meeting. We have the monthly board meeting coming up on the 7th of June. So what would be the downside, and Ms. Walsh, if I'm misrepresenting this,
No,
but
you're-
what would be the downside of us making that, pushing this decision to approve
Yep.
to the 7th of June?
Well, the downside, in my opinion, is I have to do the work that we're doing at the central office in sequence. So if I put a gutter on this system to make the building and the whole ground safe, I have to do the site work that we have following after I get this roof put on. So when we go to demolition of the roof, I've got to have heavy equipment, I have to have dumpsters, I have to have a lot of things. I can't do it in reverse order. I can't do the paving and the site work first. So it is, in my opinion, sensitive. I've got a lot of projects this summer, so I'm trying to line up all of them in order. I think delaying this decision would just push the lead time for the materials even out farther than it is right now. I don't know what the price could do if I push it out 30 days. It could. I might have to, you know, I might see increases. We might have to rebid it. I wouldn't want to do that. I'm trying to, you know, in the best interest of taking care of the building and the taxpayers, I'm trying to get a high-quality roof with good quality contractor in this case, to do the right thing. So
I understand that, but to her point, would we lose this pricing or this if we delayed our decision 14 days? Because I believe it's 14 days until the 7th, for the meeting on the 7th? How much longer? Yeah. I believe it's 14 days, and I'm just questioning is that a possibility, or will that cost us, or will we have to get how long is this bid good for? And what would be the issue if we completed this project 14 days later than your current plan?
As far as the pricing, I don't know. I'd have to, I'd like to know, can I at least award the bid? And then, if you want to give it more time, the longer we wait now, it just pushes the calendar out for the availability of materials.
Okay. Other questions? Ms. Cannon?
Yeah, as far as pushing things out, I can't speak to roofing because I didn't have roofing done, but I've had a whole lot of contracting this spring, personally. And I can tell you that, for example, the cost of putting in a deck between April 1st and now has tripled. And some of the materials that we wanted to use are not even available anymore. So unfortunately, because of the pandemic and supply stream, there's a very good possibility that costs will increase significantly and or materials will become unavailable. So I understand Ms. Walsh's point, and I think going forward that's something that we need to be more cognizant of, but I'm concerned that if we delay this, the possibility of a substantial increase. I mean, the price of a 2x6 by 8 has gone from $26 to $99 in the last 8 weeks. I'm concerned about pushing it out may well increase the cost and or have the company come back and say we can't do it for the price that we bid it anymore because we cannot get the materials at the cost that we were expecting.
Thank you, Ms. Cannon. Other questions or comments? Mr. Weinberg.
Hey, Matt, I know you spoke at the beginning about the design. Just quick reminder again. Is it going to be a similar design to what the building?
So it's 85 square is how it's measured out. Nothing is changing from the roof pitch. We have in this the copper, so it's kind of the lines you see on the top view. That's copper, so we were going to replace in kind and reuse what we could. But again, the slate would be removed, and we would put the synthetic slate product on, which is a good durable product.
So still like a vaulted, not flat.
Correct. Yeah, everything. There's a slight pitch in the far bottom left-hand corner. That's a semi-flat roof. It's a little tricky of a spot. That does not have slate on it. I was going to put a modified SBS roof, similar to what we have here at the high school on broken ground. It's a very long, hard, good roof. So
Does that area get good sun?
So the southern exposure is where the dirt parking lot is on the upper half. So you do get the east and it does. You don't have many trees there blocking the sun. So
I know with roofing that provides a very good opportunity for the potential of solar panels. I know, and that's why I asked the vaulted question at the beginning. Have we considered how we could have reinforced or providing for the potential of a future in which we might want that?
I didn't on this one only because it's a classic looking building, and adding solar panels could change the look of that. Again, I was really looking to, protect the building. It's a 120-year-old roof slate. We get wind, we get heavy rain. I'm always taking pictures. These folks will tell you of just giving people a heads up. There's chips of shards of the slate coming down. You never know where it's going to land, and I'm not doing that as a scare tactic. I'm saying I know when it's time. That's it. We got our money's worth out of that roof. When you walk up into the attic and you see the inside, you see all kinds of staining. Every year, I can tell you exactly where we're going to get roof leaks. We've had it repaired, we've had it patched. Even the contractors that we've had do it have said to us, you're going to have to do something here. So,
Thank you. One last question. Sorry. When is this picture from?
well, it's a Google image, so
Is it really?
it says 2021, but we, in the fall of 20, we did the upper parking lot, and we had also, it's a picture of the old parking lot before we did that work, because the stairs aren't there.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Cashman, is there a difference in the insulating quality or the thermal quality of this synthetic slate, or is it similar to regular slate?
It's similar to regular slate. It's a cold attic, so we don't put insulation and heat the upper portion of that.
Okay. And what is the synthetic slate? Is it a stone-based, a cement-based,
No,
Composite?
it's like a composite oil base vinyl. It's if you were to look at it, you can hardly tell the difference between the two. Lots of municipalities around the country use this product on older buildings. It looks really, really nice. It gives you a good warranty. I want the building to be safe, but I want it to look good too, and I don't want it to, if I just put a 3-tab architectural shingle on there, I'm going to have less of a warranty on it, and it's,
No, I understand that. And I'm also familiar with slate and the spalling and the flaking that occurs as it reaches its end of life. So.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you. Other questions? So, yes, go ahead, Mr. Long.
Since this is a decision the board will be, do you have a preference? I don't know if you can make that
A preference on the contractor?
on the bid, yeah.
Yeah, Crawford Roofing for $183. Put my glasses on, $350.
So, Mr. Cashman, it's my understanding that you're asking us to approve this expenditure this evening.
Yes, I am, Mr. Richards.
Is there a motion from a board member to approve the roofing contract with Crawford as presented? I don't know if I worded
I
that
will
correctly.
move that we accept the offer of Crawford Roof and instruct Mr. Cashman to follow through with that process.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Seconded, so that was moved by Mr. Parker and seconded by Ms. Smith. Further discussion? Not seeing any. Ms. Cannon will, okay, I'll wait.
Sorry, just trying to catch up.
No, that's okay. I appreciate you keeping me at the appropriate timing. So, Ms. Cannon, would you please call the roll for this vote, please?
Yes. Ms. Hastings?
Aye.
Ms. Walsh?
No.
Ms. West?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Richards?
Aye.
Mr. Parker?
Aye.
Ms. Higgins?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberg?
No.
And I vote aye. So it passes 7-2.
Thank you, Mr. Cashman.
Thank you.
Can I just go on to the next items, really, 2, 3, and 4, are really information items for you. There's really no expectation. I put materials in your Google folder for you to look at. I really would like you to, I know I sent some materials out around the ConVal lawsuit, but I really want you to, think about next steps for that. I've gotten a number of emails, I think you have too, through the New Hampshire School Board Association and other groups sending you information, but I sent you some more. They really are interested, as you know, the Supreme Court sent it back down to the lower court. adequacy amounts for an adequate education as determined by the state of New Hampshire. This time, based on all the data that I've been reading, they're looking for a financial commitment from Concord and all of the cities and towns that were part of the last lawsuit. You did join the last time, but there was no financial commitment on behalf of the school district. So I'd ask that you take a look at the materials in your folder relative to the lawsuit and read it over and decide whether you can do that at the next meeting or, I did get some information from the lawyer, Attorney Tobin, that we have some time to make some decisions about where you want to go with it. But I know there have been some districts that have joined the lawsuit, but many of them are sort of waiting to see what the next steps will be. But please take some time to read over those documents. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Yeah,
Questions?
try to answer questions on this.
Ms. Walsh.
Could you clarify, there's letters from Attorney Tierney and Attorney Tobin. Are they on separate efforts, amicus versus the lawsuit?
One is representing the ConVal
Yeah.
district, Attorney Tierney, and John Tobin, as you know, has been out supporting the whole effort around an adequate education and what that means, and has been a proponent of it. So he's been involved in it, in using his legal expertise to help districts decide what to do. As you know, he's been all over the state and providing information to cities and towns around this whole adequacy issue.
So it sounded like from Mr. Tobin's letter that we joined an amicus brief, not the lawsuit last time.
That's right. So you only signed on to it. You didn't have to, there was no financial support to it.
So is that an option this time, or is it
I didn't
two
get that there was
tracks?
an option this time. This time, they're looking for school districts. They actually reached out to look for school districts to support it financially.
And from my understanding, this is a general kind of fee. It's not like prorated to the size of the district.
No, and they haven't, based on all the information I've been reading about it, is they have not determined yet what that cost would be, because they literally are starting at ground zero again. The whole process. I mean, we've been doing this since the early
1993?
Yeah, 8, 9, yeah, in the 70s, when they started with the oblong method of paying for school funding, and it's just gone on and on. So, John, I'm not sure. I think the costs could rise as they start this process all over again.
Wasn't John volunteering his time?
Yeah, John was volunteering his time
That's-
along with Attorney Valinsky, and
Right.
they were really moving all over the state doing these presentations so that people understood what it meant. And you know how important that money is to you as a revenue for your district. And $3,700 a youngster, and considering that to be adequate for a student is far from what you spend on a student every year. Around 15,000, Jack. Do you remember the exact number? Yeah. When you do K through 12, it's around 15,000 for Concord. So you can see why school districts across the state are looking for some relief from the courts, and they didn't get it, so they're back at to the drawing boards. And that's why I wanted you to see that information, and so we can be ready to talk about it again.
Other questions? Superintendent, do you have a timeline when you say we'd be ready to talk about it that you have in mind, or is it just prepping us for some time in the future?
I want to prep you for the future. We have a busy June meeting, so I don't want to put that on the June agenda. I didn't bring that up tonight because I knew you had a busy night, but maybe the July meeting is a perfect time to do it. I mean, the August meeting, I'm sorry, August meeting.
Thank you, Superintendent. The next topic
Is just an FYI for the Finance Committee, scheduled June 9th at 7 to review the finance issues and end of the year reports, and Jack will brief you on that. And then the fourth one is on mask options, and I put this on because it's really risen to a lot of controversy. And the controversy around masks, and I put some information again for you to read in your folder. I have the CDC recommendations, and I have the state recommendations. And the state recommendation is Dr. Chan and his team really suggest that we continue in schools to wear masks. And the CDC is giving us a little bit more option when it comes to students going outside for recess. And that's where the questions are coming from the public. They want to know, can the youngsters go outside and take their masks off when they're playing at recess? And so the issue with recess is, can they maintain, remember, especially our young students, our elementary students are not vaccinated. You know, can they maintain the distance, even 3 feet, when they're outside? You know, inside they wear a mask and they're 3 feet. Outside, can they maintain with no mask a 6-foot distancing? And any of you have done recess duty, or whatever you've had a chance to volunteer for, that's not an easy task. So I've had a number of parents, and I don't know if you've been, contacted. I wanted you to read the data that I just pulled up the CDC data. I found I couldn't find a good document, but the one I posted for you should help you so that we can talk about this. We could talk about it at the instruction meeting. We have one coming up. We can talk about it. But it's just for the last few weeks. I think the issue is the weather is warm. The kids are outside. They're wearing these masks. And they're sweating. You see them. So would you consider that discussion? I think that would be important for us. I don't expect any answer. It's controversial.
So, Superintendent, that discussion is, we would have that at the next board meeting, which would be June 7th.
Well, I have it on, I was going to address it on my report. I have a section of my report, so I was hoping that maybe we could put it in my report, and I would, share some more information. Hopefully we'll have more. The numbers are really down in Concord. I think if you saw them, I think they're in the teens today for the number of new cases. So it's really, it's very encouraging.
I guess my question is, the school year ends on the 18th. That's a very short time after our meeting, 11 days, calendar days. I guess I'm asking what you would want us to consider at that point.
I would like you to, we'll have a discussion about whether I would like the kids to be able to go outside to recess without their masks. They're outside. The incidence of our students is very low. But that's not, it's easy to say that, but you have to understand that there are people who still believe they should be wearing their masks at all times. I'm just trying to get some guidance from where you're at, and so we can have a discussion on that.
Okay, so you're saying that you would be including this in
my report,
your
right?
Report on June 7th.
Right.
We would be able to take public comment at that time as it is an agenda item. I think if you're going to expect any votes or something, we should probably at least call out that we'll be discussing the masks in our announcement of the meeting or in the agenda, so that people reading the agenda wouldn't just see superintendent report, because that wouldn't give them enough.
Yeah, I usually write what I'm going to report on, but yeah, I can do that. I'll add that to the
Okay.
agenda.
Just wanted to clarify that.
I
I know
will,
there are
yeah.
other questions, so Ms. Hastings.
Is there an opportunity for students to make a choice whether they want to wear it or not? So that it would be sort of up to the individual and the family? We wouldn't be able to check with every family, but...
That's a great point. Some districts are doing that. It's optional, so the youngster decides. I guess the only feedback that I got on that was the teachers trying to know who can and who can't. And sometimes you're not always clear about that. But that is available, and some districts are doing that right now.
Other questions? Yes, Ms. Walsh.
Are you planning on making a recommendation at the 7th meeting?
Well, I'd like to hear from the board. I think this has been an issue that we've all dealt with all along, and I think it was important. You hear from the public, you hear from your constituents, and it's controversial, and I didn't want to just come back and say, okay, everybody wears a mask until the end of the year. Do you feel as a board that we can move towards either options or giving the youngsters a chance to be outside and not wear the mask? That's what I'm looking for.
I know that with NHIAA and a lot of outside activity, masks are increasingly being allowed to be removed. So if we were to follow those protocols and behaviors, then recess would follow along logically.
But I believe that applies to athletes that are competing. As soon as their competition is over, they put their masks back on.
Correct. But
So
it's when
this
they're
is-
running around. Yes, but not like sitting on
Okay.
bleachers and stuff, yeah.
AA is allowing youngsters our students to participate in sports without their mask while they're playing.
Right.
Sidelines, on the bench, in the dugout, practice before.
Right.
They have to wear them.
Mr. Romberg.
And we're considering this for our elementary, middle, and high school, correct? This is like a general district policy.
That's correct.
And for the upcoming vaccination clinic, do we have like any numbers so far of how many people we're expecting to be vaccinated?
Well, on our vaccination, we had up at the high school 75. But we had a lot of youngsters who had already been vaccinated, had already been in attending clinics because they're working in the summer. They would, camps and all that activity that they do. We had one today at Runlet. We anticipated somewhere between 45 and 50. I called late this afternoon, but I didn't get a number, so I'll get that to you, but I'm assuming somewhere around 50.
And the second vaccine will be on what date again? Is it 3 weeks from?
Yeah, it's a Pfizer, so it's 3 weeks from today.
Superintendent, I just, asked the question because we had 5 positive cases last Friday, I believe you sent out, which seemed pretty high for us, somewhat concerning. Could you please have a recommendation or written recommendation, or formal recommendation from Dr. Noble and his advice on this and his recommendation on this for our meeting on the 7th?
I have his advice already.
Okay.
Dr. Noble has indicated that he feels that the kids can take their masks off when they go out to recess.
All right, other questions? Yes,
I'll bring
Ms.
that
Smith.
back up again.
Thank you.
Elementary school. So how would you imagine that works? Where would they take off their mask and where would they leave it? And then I'm just imagining them like blowing like tumbleweeds at the recess, or are they on their desk and then they have to walk outside? I'm just imagining the process, I guess. I think I can
That's
be
a
on
very
board with
practical
them being
question.
outside at
I
recess
think it's
and
a
having
great
fun
question, and
without them.
I think it's a great question, and
I mean, teachers are more creative than I am.
yeah,
but it
they
just
usually,
seems like,
they can have hooks and other things,
Yeah.
like their food cards, are all in little envelopes, and they have all kinds of things, but I don't know how they would manage that, to be honest
I guess
with
it would
you.
just be like, at what
Putting
point
them-
are you allowed to take them off, and then
We need
When the bell
lanyards,
rings.
mask lanyards.
Yeah.
Right. You can see the complexities of it,
Yeah.
and there are many people who feel we've done pretty well keeping our masks on. Can we just manage it for the next, 4 weeks? So that's the other side of this, and that's why I came tonight, hoping I could get some idea where you are. And it's very, I want to be what's good for the kids. I want to take that position, but
No, and outdoors is a unique situation, a different situation from indoors. Thank you. Other questions? Thank you, Superintendent. We'll talk about it.
The only other thing is that I would ask that we have a non-public for the purpose of considering acquisition and sale, lease of land under 91A32D that allows us to go into non-public to discuss that.
Thank you. And I will make the motion that we now go into a non-public session under RSA 91-A:3(2), Roman numeral 2, Section D, that states consideration of acquisition or sale or lease of real or personal property which, if discussed in public, would likely benefit a party or parties whose interests are adverse to those of the general, or may be adverse to those of the general community. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Parker. I believe we could just do a vote. We don't need a roll. Do we need a roll call? We do need a roll call vote for this one. So, Ms. Cannon, can you call a roll, please?
Ms. Hastings,
Aye.
Ms. Walsh,
Aye.
Ms. West,
Aye.
Ms. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Richards,
Aye.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Ms. Higgins,
Aye.
Mr. Weinberg,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
Thank you. The motion passes. We are in non-public session.